Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name's Kevin McKenzie, and I started this podcast, Seven by Kevin, a 7-minute podcast, as more of a hobby. But I'm also looking for a full-time job. So I thought, why not merge the two? So here I am. Then I thought, how can I really stand out? Really stand out. So I submitted a application to the Guinness Book of World Records and I created a title. So unfortunately, it's going to be 12 to possibly 16 weeks before I even find out if they accepted the title and if I beat any existing record or if it even qualified for a record. But at least I did it. It was a nominal fee, like $5. So it was more than worth it in my mind to get sort of a buzz around what I'm doing. Um, I've always wanted to do a podcast, but this is a perfect time to start it. So I'm sort of hopefully killing two birds with one stone, and that's by having some buzz and that around this, and to create my podcast. And I understand the irony. My podcast is Seven by Kevin, the 7-minute daily podcast. Yet my debut episode will be hours long, but it's trust me, it will only be for the first episode that's going to be hours long. The next ones will be 7 minutes. And please join me by subscribing, liking, and sharing and commenting in both the live stream and in the re-upload so that I can get a sense of my audience and also to create some further buzz with this because I do intend to stay on here as long as possible or until somebody notifies me that I have a job offer. I anticipate getting quite a few notifications through the day, but I'll only be able to really check on the live stream what's happening. I won't be checking my phone or anything. Um, so I'll be reading the questions and answers as though sort of I'm the interviewer as well. I'll be reading the question and then I'll be expanding on the answer. I've this is you must know this is totally out of the norm for me. I don't previously have a YouTube channel that I ever posted my face on. I was always very uncomfortable in front of the camera, in front of a video, or even taking a photograph. But the last 2 years of this pandemic, you do a lot of Zoom meetings. You do a lot of, in my case, Zoom interviews. So I've gotten a little bit more comfortable. And so that's how it started. And so the job that I'm sort of interviewing with right now with you is obviously made up, but and I will make up some names of or not even say any of the names of previous employers. But if you do want to find out more about me, please check out in the description below my LinkedIn profile. I will be only entertaining serious inquiries through my LinkedIn profile, so you can find out a little bit more about me there. You can obviously find more about me on my Twitter page. Again, that's in the description below. And um, yeah, I think I've said everything that I wanted to say. So let's begin. So, what most interviews start with? Tell me about yourself. Well, my name is Kevin. I've been in sales for over 20 years, primarily in consumer packaged goods or fast moving consumer packaged goods, which seems to be a buzzword lately. And I really enjoy helping people. My first job as a and it's not even my first job's not even I'm sure all of it, you yourself does not have your very first job when you were a teenager on your resume or on your LinkedIn because it kind of dates you a little bit. But my first job, which I had for 10 years, was in the pet industry. And nothing I enjoyed more than having a customer come in and present me with their problem and for me to help them with their problem. And so I was able to really hone my skills and get my appreciation and love for for my first job, but also for sales and for helping people. Because let's admit it, the best salespeople solve problems, and that is something that I absolutely love to do. And so it really gave me a sense of satisfaction when a customer, a consumer that I talked to the previous week or the previous month has come back into the store and is asking for me by name or seeking me out, even when there's available staff to serve them. And then that just starts building that relationship and trust between myself and my customer. And so when there was a brand new item, in my case, working at a pet store, when there was a brand new pet or fish or something like that, I could say, hey, this would be a great addition to your aquarium, or hey, I think you really need to try this. And that's going to build that relationship and that trust. And the customers are going to be a little bit more inclined to say, okay, you've never steered me wrong. You've always given me sound advice. So, let's try that. So that gave me the first 10 years of working in a pet store. That gave me the real desire to continue to help, to continue to sell and do added value to the sales process, and going a little bit above and beyond than what the customer asked for, or sometimes even a lot above and beyond what the customer asked for, and also helping them with their problem, and thus again building that relationship. So for doing that for 10 years, I was able to move into my first outside sales job. And that outside sales job was in the same industry, and it was for the world's largest private loan manufacturer distributor of pet supplies. And so I really was able to hone my skills and develop long-lasting relationships with customers that had been dealing with that particular company for perhaps at sometimes decades. So I had a lot of big shoes to fill, and I did have some issues in the beginning because I not only was I young, I was also even younger looking. And so dealing with some of the different people that you deal with working in stores, they in this case in retail pet stores, they just saw this young kid coming in and having sort of a prestigious job. So I really turned it around and asked them for their advice. And, quite often I needed it. And quite often on the products, I may have already known the answer, but I still asked anyways. And that sort of helped really calm my nerves, but also really help the customer and develop a relationship with them. I'm going to pause for a second for a sip of water. Hopefully, I don't have to drink too much during this interview, because it is going to go on for some time, and I really don't want to have to excuse myself to go use the restroom. Um, so, um, so then after I went into the pet industry, I thought, after 25 years, there's got to be something else out there other than pets. So let's try something different and new. So I went into the Jansan business. And after the Jansan business, or when I got into the Jansan business, within a few short 2 or 3 weeks, I guess, I was put into management role, and I was hiring and mentoring the new generation of leaders coming up, and new salespeople. Again, I absolutely love doing that and mentoring and motivating people, and we'll get a lot more into the subject of motivation shortly. If you look above my head, there is the book I wrote on motivation, but we'll get into that in a little while. So that was a different type of industry. It was calling on stores, as well as going into various businesses and home offices to get the product in there. After less than about a half a year, maybe just a little bit more, the company unfortunately went bankrupt, and I went into the hardware industry, and that I was calling on the bigger stores in the industry, big box stores, Home Depot, Rona, Canadian Tire, just to name a few, and then and also into smaller independent hardware stores. Unfortunately, there's not many of those left anymore. Excuse me, and as well as convenience stores. Excuse me. And so I was able to really developed a different skill set because I was not a very handy person when I started, but I was fixing the machines that the company carried and repairing them and doing maintenance. So I really developed a new love and a new appreciation and a new love for a totally different industry. The company I was working for no longer sort of lost the account of the biggest customer, and so that vastly impacted their sales and my sales because of the way the commission structure worked there, and so. I started looking for something else, and then I went back into the Jansan business and with another company, and it was actually a division of an existing company, but essentially it was a brand new company, a startup, and it was I think they decided to go in a different direction because of the way the business model was. They were quick to hire a lot of people, and the actual product was a way to validate cleaning, and so essentially I was doing everything back office, sales, and the actual end service in the end as well. So it wasn't a tangible product, sort of consumer packaged goods, something that I was more accustomed to. So I decided to try get back into my love of consumer packaged goods, and I went into sort of highly regulated industry, and that was actually the next two companies were highly regulated, and so I was able to really I really enjoy making an impact, a positive impact on my customers as well as the end users, the retailers. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So I was able to get into this industry, but unfortunately, again, due to regulations, they had to eliminate many of the positions that were in the area I was in Ontario, Canada, and so I really was left with wondering where I was going to go, and then another company in the same industry came into Canada. They unfortunately didn't do their due diligence for the Canadian market, and so they unfortunately it was great that they were able to hire 10 former sales reps. So it was kind of when other time do you get to actually start a new job and know every single person that is working there because they've hired all your previous or a lot of your previous colleagues, not all of them, about 10 of them. So they ended up having to eliminate quite a few positions because of the market that they were in. So unfortunately, I was part of that. So that leads me to where I am today. That was back in October, and so I've looked for some time for a position, but so that's why I'm actually doing this very video that you're watching to get people, including myself, out of our comfort zone and and hopefully maybe eliminate some red tape in terms of the number of interviews that I might have to go through because sometimes I've gone through 6 interviews with a company, and for them to say that I don't have the experience that they're looking for when they pass on me, well, that experience would have been or would have been would or wouldn't have been on my resume. So why I went through 5 or 6 interviews, and if you don't, I'm only going for sales management or territory management. Do you really need 6 interviews? Well, I digress, and we'll have more to that on future podcasts as I talk about that. So that leads me to the uncomfortable time right now in front of you, where I am trying to get out of my comfort zone and have you think I want somebody that is willing to get out of their comfort zone and is willing to think outside the box. And if I'm willing to do this much to find a job, how much will I actually do for you, for your company, for your business, and for your customers? So that's where I am today. Now, the next question is tell me a fun fact about yourself. Well, I live for coffee, but excuse me, I'll work for coffee, but I live for pasta. So those are my two favorite things that I absolutely love. I'm a current elected school board official in my area. I will be talking a little bit more in detail about that, but that is a passion of mine, education, and I love being able to play a small part in helping with the school board and the teachers and most importantly the students of the school board. My current school board has I'm one of seven trustees, and a trustee, if you don't know, has no power on their own. But as a collective board, in my case, the seven of us, we hold a lot of power. So we vote on various policies that affect the 15,000 students and the 30 plus schools that are in my school board. I cover Clarington and with the school board, and you can certainly Google my name followed by the name trustee, and you will see exactly who I am and what area I cover. Um, am I willing to travel? Absolutely, I am willing to travel, and it is. I will travel up to 100% of the time. My For traveling, I'll do overnight travel, no problem. And in fact, my previous job that I had for 16 years, I used to live in Brampton, Ontario. My territory was Eastern Ontario, so it would go right to the Quebec border. So I would do a lot of overnights, and so my company suggested that I move to help save the company and to save myself. Um, I I should have uh, you know I was able to move. I moved for the company from Brampton to where I am now, which is in the Clarington area, which is about 45 minutes or so east of Toronto. And I'm willing to, as you can see, there's a history there of coming out of my comfort zone for my job or for my employers, and doing what it takes. So if extensive travel and light to moderate overnight travel is required, then I will 100% do that, no problem. Um, I should really be check marking my questions because I'm starting to get down here and want to make sure I don't repeat or skip one. Um, are, am I over? Are you overqualified for this position? No, I believe I am uniquely qualified for this position. I hold a unique skill set and a vast amount of experience in the consumer packaged goods and fast moving consumer packaged goods industry, and as well as the pet industry, hardware industry, Jansan, and my skill set is also transferable to many other industries. So I look forward to the challenges that this or any job will bring. And I realize there might be even a learning curve with a something that's new or different, but I am confident any kind of learning curve can be very quickly straightened by my skill set and my ambition and motivation for the position. Um, would I be willing to work nights and weekends? Absolutely. And usually a follow-up question would be, do you have a wife and kids, or, you got a family? Because usually I get questions from people that are concerned that if it's going to require, weekends or evenings, the job, whether it's from time to time or on a more regular basis, I would generally get that question asked of me, but I would answer, and to coin from a phrase from somebody I follow on YouTube, Grant Cardone. Family is not the most important thing to me. providing for them is. And that's why I'm willing to, again, get out of my comfort zone and do something like this. Um, what qualities make a good leader? Well, there are quite a few qualities. I like to, I'm thinking of past leaders that I've had the pleasure of working for and working under, working with. And that's people that are friendly, but not friends. I think that you can get into a bit of an issue there. Um, I also believe whether you're a type A personality, which I've had a couple of those particular managers, that and they transpose that onto the reps and expect them to work just as hard. That's fine. And I it's funny when I had one of those managers, I didn't appreciate them as much as I did at the time until I had other managers. And so it's a rather a manager that is a true leader, that is willing to come out of their comfort zone, do what is expected of us as well. So they're not afraid to get their hands dirty rather, and do those jobs that they know will end up taking a lot of time, or there's some kind of an issue. So I have quite a few past managers that I think of as mentors and that I really look up to. And to this day, I would call in a heartbeat for sound advice. And especially if I was getting back into some kind of a management role, because I know just how much I would want to emulate their management style. Um, what do I know about the company? Well, I know a lot that's in what I did my due diligence and my research on your website as well as other websites, but I tend to only stick with the actual company's website because you don't exactly know what is true and that sort of thing. I also went on all your social media accounts, and I know you are the leader in your industry, and you're looking for top talent, and so I assume that's why I'm sitting opposite you, to find the best of the best. And I am an award-winning sales rep, so I see that you guys have also won countless awards. So I think we would do well together, and I could help you win even more awards. What is it our company interests you? Well, as I said, you guys are a leader in your industry. Um, the ABC company is a leader in the industry, and you are second to none for your competition. I do know who your competition is, and to be honest with you, I don't think you have a lot to worry about. However, we would crush them even more if I came on board. And I have a lot of plans and ideas in my head that I know exactly how I would target your customers as well as your competition, and so I would know how to get the upper hand and help you um, increase that gap between you and your closest competition. Who is your favorite manager and why? Well, I have a few, and I said in the beginning that I won't say names, but those are company names. I'll just say first names here. I would say Ron and Dave were two great managers that I had, and both for different reasons. They were the first one, as I mentioned, was a Type A personality and was singularly focused and knew his products and his sales techniques, and he was wickedly sharp. Um, and had some unexpected zingers when you're talking to him. He would come out with some funny comments or joking insults or what have you in sales meetings, but it kept you interested, engaged, and listening at every word that he said. And that's the guy that I mentioned before that I didn't appreciate him I really appreciated him when he was when I worked with him, but I guess absence makes the heart grow fonder, and so when he left, I really missed him, and not because it was of being comfortable and knowing his style, and I'm sure a little bit of that was true, but the fact that he was in his A game constantly, so that's what made me miss him, but. Another one that I liked working with was somebody that was my essentially my equal. He helped train me when I started with with that company, and then he started to move up the ladder a couple of positions, and then finally became my manager. And he was amazing. He was easygoing, and just his demeanor and the way he talked to customers, he could have just met the customer and treated them like he knew them for 20 years. So I really liked his style, and so I came across as very consultant like, and really liked to help the various people that he would be his customers, and that sort of thing. Um, who are our competitors? Well, as I mentioned, your competitors are the XYZ company and the 123 company, and they are quite a bit further down the ladder. And as I mentioned before, if I start with you, they'll be even further down the ladder. And so their product is far less superior than yours. Their service from the online reports and Reddit are way down below your ratings. And so I like to work with winners, and I know that we'll win even more and bigger gains when I start with you. So, with regards to the competition, I know you guys were number one at one time, but excuse me, you were number. Well, we all started on the bottom, but you progressively moved up the ladder, and haven't looked back since. And so I look forward to, as I said, furthering climbing the ladder with you and leaving the ABC and the XYZ and the 123 companies in the dust behind us. Why am I the right person for the job? Well, that says a lot. That I am the right person for the job. I'm a multi award winning salesperson, and I'm in it to win it. And I come out of my comfort zone on a regular basis, and I really really enjoy what I do. I have won multiple awards, such as Sales Rep of the Year for Ontario multiple times, Sales Rep of the Quarter several times, Sales Rep of the Month, and these are all for different companies. And I came second place for the rep for all of Canada. So I and out of all those awards that I've gotten, all those, you know, proverbial pat on the backs from managers, all those reviews, all those awards and prizes and commissions and bonuses and anything else you can think of throughout my career, nothing, nothing comes into comparison than a thank you from a customer. Thank you for looking out for my business. Thank you for treating my business like your business, and thank you for having the knowledge and the relationship skills and the training etiquette to help my staff any which way. So that's why I am the right person for the job. And I'm just seeing a in the chat, a friend has put I should have a podcast with controversial topics and have a guest host such as myself because I'm controversial. LOL. Yes, actually, especially when you launch your book, I will definitely be having you on. Um, but to talk about other things as well. With a 7-minute podcast, I could definitely see it being a few episodes to stretch it out. So then, what is my greatest well, I guess I'm reading it like the interviewer. What is your greatest personal achievement? Well, that would have to be, aside from my family, that would be my book, No Time Like the Present, to show you on how to get motivated, 123 ways to get motivated and to stay motivated. And I came up with that book. I always wanted to actually write a sales book. And so I was writing the sales book. I was 2, maybe 3 chapters in when talked a lot about being motivated and staying motivated because after all, you're in sales, you're on the road for an extended period of time and you represent the company, you're sort of a brand ambassador. And so for when the company calls you, it's sometimes infrequent. When you see a fellow employee or a manager, it's pretty infrequent sometimes, and so you're it. And so you have to stay pretty motivated being on the road. So that's why I thought, well, I'm talking a lot about motivation because you got to stay motivated. So why don't I come up with a motivational book? So I started writing it. I wanted to come up with 100 ways. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I want it to be as easy as one, two, three. And that's when the light bulb came up over my head. It's because that's the name of the book, 123 ways to get motivated and stay motivated to make it as easy as one, two, three. So I got to about 100 or so ways. So then I kind of expanded a little bit, split a couple of them up so that to sort of stretch it out. And I came out with 123 ways. And it is, as I'm very proud to say, it became an Amazon Canada bestseller book. Not for that long, only several hours, but it became number 1 in self-esteem, number 7 in motivation, I believe it was. And I got that, screenshot of it being the number 1 bestseller. So I'm extremely happy about that. The next one that I'm super, greatest personal achievement, excuse me, is becoming a school board trustee. And so I um, I wanted to sort of give back to the community. Um, and so I decided back in 2016 excuse me, 2018 to run in the election. And the area that I'm in, called Clarington, it actually has 2 school board trustees, but we both work for the school board that we do. So there's a total of 7 trustees. 2 of us cover Clarington, and so I was fortunate enough to become acclaimed. So, other than the other trustee for Clarington, there was nobody else that ran, and that's an interesting stat. That 70% of positions of a trustee in the province of Ontario are acclaimed, and only about 30%. I imagine Toronto would definitely be a large portion of that 30%. Really is anybody runs against the people that are initially running. In fact, at our board, there's a trustee that I believe he's got 4 terms under his belt, and in all 4 elections, nobody ran against him. So it was a calling for me to run in the election or to put my name in the hat, and I do get a small honorarium. I think I'll talk about it in a little while, and you can easily Google school board trustee honorariums to see I am not in it for the money, and it does require a little bit of my time. So I am looking for an employer that has a little bit of flexibility. I would have to say there's probably about 4 meetings per month, and most of the meetings do start at 5:30, 6 o'clock, but there is 1 meeting per month that starts at around 4:15, 4:30. And this is a as I mentioned, it's a paid position. You do get a little bit of money for it, but it does require a little bit of your time. And so I've always been one with the different jobs that I've had. I've been able to juggle my schedule quite well. So if it meant working extra late the day before, the day after, what have you, to make up those an hour here or there that I needed to attend one of those meetings, it's usually been perfectly fine with the past employers. Okay, where do I see myself in 10 years? Well, I see myself sitting in that chair that you're sitting in there. I would like to move up within the organization, and I really enjoy helping the next generation of employees and motivating them and mentoring them and helping them gain just as much success and really helping the next generation of leaders in that company. And so I'm from the mindset that leaders build leaders, and so if you have a great leader, then that will more than likely invite you to want to do the exact same thing and sort of pay it forward, as they say, and to help the next generation. So I really enjoy helping. I mentioned that in the beginning, going working at the pet store and helping people solve problems. And if I can help the next generation of employees and help them, do the best that they can and excel, especially if it's an employee that's never had a sales job or that's never had, or this is their first full-time job and they've come directly out of college and they're interested in being in sales, so that would really motivate me to do that as well. um, what do you know about the industry of CPG and FMCG? FMCG is one that I hadn't been very familiar with in the last little while. But for those that don't know, or that for you that don't know, it's fast moving consumer goods. I guess maybe at a convenience store or obviously bread, milk, butter, eggs. That's definitely a fast moving consumer good. Batteries would be another one, something that's a consumable that goes through very, very quickly. And then also CPG, consumer packaged goods. Excuse me. Um, and that could be a product that might even sit on the shelf. You don't want it to, but it could sit on the shelf for weeks, months, or longer. So it's not necessarily fast moving. But I like both industries very much. I've worked in both industries, and some companies I've worked for had products that fell into both of those categories. Um, and not just because of the 80/20 rule. Obviously, I was working in the pet industry, so things like food and bedding or cat litter or that sort of thing would definitely be one of those fast moving things. Whereas you know a, um, a dog bed or a dog crate or a cat leash might end up sitting on the shelf for much longer than, say, the cat litter, because how often would you get a leash for your animal versus bedding or food or that sort of thing. Um, then so yes, I would consider myself an expert with over 20 years. Now, if I factor in, and here's where I start to date myself, if I factor in my retail job that I started in 1987 and did that for 10 years in retail, that's consumer packaged goods. Then I got into outside sales in 97. So really, that's quite a that's we're talking decades now that I've got experience in consumer packaged goods, retail, sales. So why wouldn't I be the leading candidate for your job? Um, the next one is describe a time when your boss was wrong. Well, Nobody likes to admit that they're wrong, and nobody really likes to tell their manager or their manager that that they are wrong. But my manager was wrong, and he admitted that he was wrong to a certain extent by hiring me. I'll explain. So one of my positions that I got a job for, I applied, had a few interviews, and I would be told I was going to get the job. Or sorry, I was told I would be notified if I got the job by the Monday. On that Friday before, I got a phone call, and as soon as I heard the voice of the person from HR, well, when you're looking for a job and been applying and that sort of thing, HR is not the person you want to be talking to. HR calls with bad news, and it's the managers that they call with the good news, and so which is a little bit unfair for those HR managers, but I digress. And so when they said that I didn't get it, I said I was very disappointed, and but I understood their decision and wished them well and wished the candidate that beat me out well. And then I can't quite remember, a week, possibly 2 weeks went by, and I thought to myself, I can't. I've never done this, by the way, and I called the last person I spoke to, not the HR manager, but the one of the higher ups at the company in the sales division. And I called them and said, "Listen, I've never done this before. I've never, once I don't get a job, that's it. It's a done deal. I don't even look back again." But I kept looking back because I really liked the product, the company, the positive impact that they were going to be doing on the industry and on the end user. And so I called with that and said, I loved everybody I spoke to. I love the company. I love everything else. And when I called him, now he's been through, I don't know how many interviews since the last time we spoke. And he remembered me. And for one reason, he said, "Oh, the author." And he was impressed that I had written a Amazon Canada best-selling book, and so it stuck in his head, and so that was definitely a help for me, for standing out above the crowd, similar to what I'm trying to do right now. But what I also did was uh, I talked to him about it, and he said, "I really like your initiative. I really like what you've done here," and reached out to me. Let's keep in touch. And it was really close. The only reason the other person got in was because they had a little bit of experience in the industry, or a lot of experience in the industry. Not to take anything away from them, and so, but I really liked you. Let's keep in touch. So that's what I exactly did. And there's a fine line between being annoying and him not taking my calls anymore, and knowing when to call. So if he said, "Give it 2 weeks," or "Give me a call the week of the 3rd," whatever it is, I did it. And then I would throw in the odd one and say, "Hey, I saw this in the industry. You might already know, but I was in a store and I saw this." And so he appreciated those insights. He appreciated those calls and just kept telling me to be patient. Then the last time I phoned him about that, he said, "Oh, I don't want to take anyone's thunder away." What does that mean? Well, maybe 3 days, 4 days later, I got an email with a job offer. And so persistence pays off. And so just like this video, it's fine that, as I'm talking live, there's nobody watching, but it's going to go um, into my YouTube archives or in my YouTube channel. And maybe someday, whether it's later today, tomorrow, or never, somebody might see it. So that's fine. It's, again, coming out of my comfort zone, and so I'm willing to do that. So I ended up getting the job. So it definitely paid off to be persistent, and but again, not too persistent that he stopped taking the call, or all of a sudden the numbers changed, or that sort of thing, or I get blocked, or a restraining order or something. Um, So that's why that's when my boss was wrong, because he didn't hire me initially. I guess originally he wasn't my boss at that very moment, but he soon became my boss. Um, how would I feel about reporting to a person younger than you? Well, I knew it would eventually happen. I'm not getting any younger, and neither does anybody else. And it's just like when you get to that age when, if you're in the States and your president is younger than you, or if here in Canada, when the prime minister is younger than you, it's the same kind of feeling. You knew that one day that it would happen. And so the young people these days, young people and younger people, have a lot to say and have a lot to contribute. So I have no problem whatsoever reporting to somebody that's younger than me. I'm hoping that I can teach them, just as much as they're going to teach me. So I think of it as a give and take and a win-win. Describe a time you went above and beyond at work. Well, anybody that's in the pet industry knows that, and especially from the company that I worked in, knows that the industry trade show and the company trade show are probably the two most um, intense times of the year, and they're usually pretty close to one another in terms of the calendar. One might be one month, one might be the next month, or even sometimes even in the same month. But it's very stressful, but I find it very exciting at the same time. Excuse me. I these sales, rather these trade shows, were very intense. So the trade shows I worked at was I being the the salespeople that I worked with. There was a couple of dozen of them at least. We were primarily the ones setting up these trade shows. These are in huge ballrooms in hotels, and so they're 20, 30,000 square feet sometimes. And you're putting up massive displays and shelving and product, and that we might get there on a Wednesday or Thursday, to get it all set up in time for Saturday, and then set it all up and then now on Saturday, you've got all the selling, you got the schmoozing, you got the dinners and parties afterwards, all while you're doing, trying to get all these orders in and be mindful of your time and schedules and everything else. And then when it's all said and done, is it time to breathe and maybe take a little time to yourself? No, you got to tear it all down. You got to follow up with the people that you did see, and follow up for the people that couldn't make it. So it's a good probably 2 weeks of solid hard work, and I wouldn't have changed it for the world. It was exciting and amazing all at the same time. So I really enjoyed high intense work that you really have to be mindful of schedules and time, and really be mindful of your customers' time. So when you schedule a time for them to come in, make sure you're good with the person previous. You don't go over with the next guy, so that the guy after that is okay, or gal. So it's very intensive, and really. But again, I wouldn't have changed it for the world. It was very, very exciting, and of course I was a lot younger then, so I definitely had the energy then, but I still have the energy now. Um, Tell me about the first major mistake you made at work, and how did you learn from it? Well, my first major mistake was the first year or so that I was in outside sales, and I missed a buying queue. And so, I'm sure every salesperson has done this, and often you probably wouldn't even know that you missed the buying queue. But the reason I knew I missed it is because I traveled the following week or 2 weeks later with a manager, and they asked me about this customer. and said, "Are they have they signed up on this?" And I said, "No." "Why?" I don't even remember if I even had an answer. Okay, let's see. So we went in, and my manager talked to him, and in my head, I'm check marking the things that my customer said. And I'm like, "Yeah, he said that to me. Yep, he said that to me." And then he got to that point, and my manager pushed through, and we walked out with the program or the order. And I realized that I missed a buying cue, because we're all consumers. Every one of us, you, me, everybody watching this, everyone is a consumer, and we've all been in stores and said, "Geez, this is really expensive," but still bought it. Even though you said that's really expensive, you still bought it. And so just because you say that's expensive doesn't mean you're going to buy it. You're just making an observation, not even a complaint. It might be just an observation, and you have to treat it as that, as an observation. So when you hear that's expensive, well, yes, I wouldn't expect to pay any less unless I was wanting to go down in quality or service or guarantee or whatever it happens to be that you're selling. And so I learned from there that, anytime I heard a customer say that's expensive, I pushed through, and I closed a lot more sales as a result. What do you want to accomplish in the first 30 days of this job? Well, building long-lasting relationships is key to my success long term and in the short term, with both clients and colleagues. So, with colleagues and or if it's direct reports, or managers, I want to be able to really to build those relationships so that I can go to all of them and be able to have them help me with if I have a problem, and vice versa. Let them know that I'm just a phone call away to help them with any problem that they might have. Because I know I might be answering another question that might be further down, but um, even if you're having a disagreement with a colleague, you can usually rest assured that both of you have the same end goal, and that's to be successful, and that's for the company that you're working for that pays your paycheck is successful. So if you can both agree to those two statements, which you should be, or you shouldn't be working there, then you can get through mostly anything. So if it means avoiding the pleasantries or the small talk before getting into the nitty gritty of the problem that you're trying to both solve, so be it. You're there to work, and you're there to help your company succeed or to solve a problem or whatever it happens to be. So, um, so that's definitely the colleagues is the first one, and clients is the big second one. So you want to start establishing relationships from the very beginning and seeing how you can help that particular client. Because let's admit, that client may have just had a sales rep for years, may have been their friend. They may have gone out together for golfing or dinners, or they might have established a real good bond. And if that person has retired or moved to a different department, excuse me, or moved to a different job, then even though your company has a relationship with that client, you sure don't. So you've got to start from the beginning. I've never done a YouTube live video, so I'm not used to doing so much talking. So you'll forgive me for having to take so many sips of water. And I got another glass of water on the backup. Next, and I got quite a few. There's quite a few questions to be asked. So we're on page 2. Describe a time you got angry at work. Well, I think I kind of touched on it a minute ago. I don't generally get angry. In fact, one of my past companies that I work for, because I was so even tempered, and it took a lot to rattle my cage and get upset at work. They would often say things that were just so mind-boggling to get me to go, "Oh my gosh," or get angry or that sort of thing, and then they would laugh, that just to see if I could get angry. But I often didn't, though, or didn't react. Um, so, and I mentioned it before, we all have a common goal. So, like the previous question, as long as you both agree that you have a common goal to help the company, to make a sale or solve a problem for the company, solve a problem for your customer, whatever it might be, I think you'll be good. And I enjoy that very much. And I'll be honest, there's not too many people that I don't get along with. Um, and you just, you got to learn your style. Some people, I remember I had getting slightly off topic, but I remember having a customer that didn't didn't even like talking about business, and I found sort of what's the expression, the crick in the armor. Comment in the and put in the comments if I got that right. A crink in the armor. I think it is. And so and that was his kids and the sport, the hockey that his kids played. So once maybe I talked 15, even 30 minutes to him about hockey and his kids and that sort of thing. And I had to find perfect moments. They might even be 10 or 15 seconds to ask about something that I wanted to ask about, or to get a sale, or whatever it was. And that's how I ended up working with him. And I remember at a trade show, my boss coming over to me and saying, "I don't know how you deal with that guy. Like, he's all over the place. He doesn't even want to talk about his own business." And so I said to him, my boss, I said, "Go and talk to him and get on the subject of hockey and his kids. Talk for at least 20 minutes about that, and then throw in, you can't just shoehorn it in. You got to find a segue that makes sense, and talk to him about it." Well, my boss came back to me and said, "You are brilliant. I do not know how you found that technique, but that worked brilliantly." And so he had in his hand, he had a paper for this customer owned several stores. So he had a decent size order. He was with them for about an hour, but he actually got the order in like less than 2 minutes, spread throughout that 1 hour conversation. So as long as he was in his happy place, he was talking about his kids. Well, really, who isn't? And talking about sports and his kids in sports. So, excuse me. Okay. Describe a time when you had to give a person difficult feedback. Well, again, it kind of goes hand in hand with what I was just talking about, and making sure that the that person cared. If the person doesn't care about the business, doesn't care about the industry, doesn't care about the company, why are they there? That's more of a difficult conversation you have to have. But let's assume they do, and they want to be there and they care. So I would always start with that kind of a conversation. Listen, I know you care about the business, the company, the product, the customers, whatever that might be, but we need to have this discussion. And so just being um, conscientious of how you go about that. I do remember a long time ago when I worked at that pet store. Now, how I got the job at that pet store is I was a customer of that pet store for about 3 years, and going in at probably on average once a week on the weekend. So let's say conservatively 3 times a month. So you develop a relationship with the owners and the staff and that sort of thing. And so my future manager at the time came up to me and said, and I had previously applied, and they were never looking for anybody at the time. And on my first day there, I think I was 12 or 13 years old, and they said, "Hey, maybe one day you'll work here." Well, I did for 10 years, but it was 3 years later. And um, so that's I always looked for those type of people when they would come into the store. I would hire that type of person because it reminded me of myself, and I figured I have this kind of love and passion for the industry. They're coming in on a regular basis. They're customers. They obviously have pets, so they probably do too. So the person that I hired was a few years my junior at the time, and he was extremely shy. Now he knew his product. He had a love and passion for the industry and the company and the products, but was so like like embarrassingly shy to talk to customers, and would avoid them often. But I always said, and I've said this in countless interviews, that you can teach me about the product, you can teach me about policies and procedures, but you can't really teach passion, motivation, and love and that about the industry. And if you've got that kind of commitment in your heart, then you should be hired. Everything else is secondary. So that's what I saw in this kid. So I sort of took him under my wing, and I we did role plays, scenarios, pretending like I was a customer, and having other employees pretending they were customers to help them, to the point where, fast forward a year down, or even less, he was so outgoing. And I would also make a point, because his mother would come in to pick him up at the end of the shift. So she would stand off to the corner and wait for her son to be done his shift and punch out, sign out, or whatever it was. And so I would sing his praises to his mother, because I knew that was going to get back to him, and that would boost up his confidence even more. I could say it all I wanted to him, but maybe it went in one ear, in one ear, out the other. Said it to his mother, so I noticed a change, and he was able to really come out of his shell, and he was there when I left to move on to outside sales in the same industry, and he was there for some time after I left. So I was really proud of him for doing that. Describe a time when you disagreed with your boss or colleague, and what was the result? Um, this was this was a difficult one, actually. So I had a customer that I was going in the store every couple of weeks, and every week I could see the shelves getting less and less filled up. They were running low on stock, and at the same time, this person was having trouble paying. I'm sure not just us, but specifically us. They were in 90 or 120 days. And so my accounts receivable person at the time at my company wanted to cut them off altogether. And I said, and my boss got involved too. And this customer wasn't an A customer, but it was mid to top tier B level. So great potential, great loyalty for the 3 years or 4 years previous. So I really went to bat for this customer. And I said, why don't you, first I went to bat with my with accounts receivable. I said, why don't we, rather than cut them off altogether, and he bounced a couple of checks and this sort of thing, because we're asking for a significant amount of money. So let's do more frequent visits. Instead of every 2 weeks, I'll go every week. I'll rearrange my schedule. And let's have them do much smaller incremental orders, much smaller, $200, $300 orders, where you may have been placing $1,000 or more every couple of weeks. Excuse me. So I proposed that he does a $200 order and then pay 20 or 30% on top of that. And that 20 or 30% goes towards what's outstanding. Because I said to my my boss, and I said to the accounts receivable that two things are going to happen. One, the first thing is, which is bad for us, is I'll show up one day, the store will be full, but not of our product because someone else worked with them when we wouldn't. The second and worse scenario, especially for the customer, is I show up and there's a for lease sign on there, or for rent sign, and he's gone, and quite possibly without paying the bill to us and declared bankruptcy or whatever. So I painted those two scenarios to my manager and to my accounts receivable, and they agreed. And so I built up this program, this plan, and started going there every week, and even sometimes even doing a supplemental order, because I was going to see him I think it was on a Monday. He was getting his order on the Wednesday. Sometimes we'd even place another order on that Wednesday, just so he could have it in the system and ready. Or sometimes I would even pick it up for him and deliver it when I saw him the next week. Just anything to help him out. Well, a year later, took a while, but a year later, I was happy to see that things had turned around. Now it was us that had the big presence in the store, and they remembered who helped them. He remembered who helped them. So whenever I came in and say, "Hey, new color of this, new widget, new size, new whatever, new program," I'm all in. What do I need to do? Because they were very grateful that otherwise he would have lost his dream business, and I was able to help him. So it's things like that that really empower me to do more, and to really I like leaving a lasting impact and helping people. Goes back to when I worked at that pet store, helping people. Second glass. Second page, second glass. I'm worried that I'm so thirsty that I'm going to be having to excuse myself in a few minutes to use the bathroom. Okay. Describe a time. Oh, that's the one I just did. Forgot to cross it off. Tell me about a time you didn't think you were going to meet a quota, but did, and what happened? Tell me about a time that I didn't think I was going to meet a quota, but did, and what happened? I love this story. So one of my main customers, sort of a flagship of one of my biggest customer at the time. Unfortunately, that chain of stores is no longer around. But so I have to backtrack slightly. So my company launched a brand new product, a little bit out of their comfort zone. They always sold liquids for like fertilizer, is what I'm trying to say, for your aquarium. They never sold anything more high tech than that. Other, lighting, yes, but nothing more than high tech than that. But there's something called a CO2 unit, because plants, remember from your back in your science days at school, they need CO2. So there was I don't know, it was maybe about this big, this CO2 unit, and it was a little bit more pricey than normal. It was, I honestly don't remember, maybe around $50. So it wasn't doing well anywhere. Nobody was selling it with any significance, especially in the general purpose kind of stores. Maybe in the aquatic specialty stores, it was doing okay, but not in a general purpose kind of store. And so I suggested, with the help of the staff in that department, I came up with a merchandising idea, a planogram, a plan of attack, a incentive for the customers. It's not for the customers, excuse me, for um, the staff, and I came up with a education for the staff. So we had previous to setting up everything, we did a lunch and learn. Then I explained the incentive, and so they really got behind this thing. So I set up a display. Excuse me, and the display was two identical aquariums with all the plants were the same. It shared the same light fixture across the two of them. The only difference was one had that CO2 fertilizer. The other one did not. Then I did like a flip chart: day 1, day 4, day 8, and so people could see the difference. It got to the point where customers were doubting the results because at day 25 or whatever, it was just it was ridiculous, the difference in the plants from one tank to another. They were flying off the shelf. And the president of that particular company of my client came into um, the store and was so impressed with the results and the display. He took a picture and sent it to all of the stores in the area, all of the stores, excuse me, not the area, of the country, and and told them to implement that display. And so it was a success not only for my customer, that individual store, but for the entire chain of that customer, and obviously for my employer. So I got quite a few accolades for that, and it did very well. I was very proud of the results, and they even when you took down the display, because it wasn't just a unit, you also had to buy something every month to run that unit. So again, it comes down to those fast-moving consumer packaged goods or fast-moving consumer goods. So those were really moving fast because people were buying replacements. Okay, next question. What do you really think about a previous boss? Well, as I mentioned, the two bosses that I really got along with, I would say most bosses I had a really good relationship with and really liked and learned from. Of course, not everyone is perfect, and not everybody can be perfect, but I would say it's the type A personality, the ones that are friendly, not doesn't want to be friends with you, ones that genuinely wanted to see you grow. We're happy when you got an award, a high commission, because essentially your reward is their reward because they helped you get there. And so I would say the ones that really want to lead by example and to that you want to follow yourself, and you want to be you want them to be proud of you, because sometimes it's not about the awards, sometimes it's not about the bonuses, the commissions, the perks. Those are great, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it's just from your boss. Job well done, Kevin. That was amazing. I loved when you did blank. Those are amazing. And managers and bosses and leaders, hear me. Your staff want to hear that. And and sing it from the rooftops, not just quietly. Make sure you say it in front of others as well, so that they can be, oh, God, I would love to hear that for myself. And so yeah, getting keep doing that. Excuse me. Um, hmm. What has been the most rewarding experience of my career thus far? Well, I think I mentioned this before. It goes with the helping. So when when you get all those accolades I was just talking about, heck, even more when this what I'm about to say is even more so than when the customer, or sorry, the your manager or boss does the pat on the back. More than that, it's when the customer says thank you. When the customer says thank you for what I any kind of advice I gave them, I saved them money, I helped them make money, I educated their staff, I put up a display. The product sold really well from the previous week, and I came in and after doing all that work that I just mentioned, and the customer says, "Kevin, thank you so much for helping me." Nothing better than that, in my opinion, because that's when you know you made a difference, and that's when you know you've built a relationship even stronger than it was before. So I can't say enough about that. So um, how would I deal with an angry or irate customer? There's no such thing as an angry or irate customer. Come on. Oh, seriously. We've all been consumers and gotten angry. You got to remember, I getting angry at the employee, the product, the service, the food, the company. What is it you're getting angry about? I like to over deliver, and so really help my customer get over the issue by essentially killing them with kindness, as they say. So I really want to make sure that they know that whatever complaint they have is not falling on deaf ears, that they in fact are, that I take their issue extremely seriously and I respond to it very quickly. That's why my phone is always on unless I'm sleeping. So if they have a problem, no matter the time or the weekend or the day, excuse me, I'm going to help them. Excuse me. So there's nothing more I mentioned about getting that thank you from a customer by solving a problem. But if you have an angry customer and you solve their problem and they thank you, that's even better than the first one where you just kind of solved a problem, but you were able to calm the situation, kill them with kindness, and really genuinely help them. There's no better feeling than that. Um, describe a time you chose to help a teammate. Well, that was the one with the sort of kid, the younger guy that was at the retail job that I was working, extremely shy, and he was, yeah, I was sort of his boss at the time, but he was a colleague as well, and I really wanted to see him succeed because he reminded me so much of myself starting the job, and that's exactly why I recommended him for the position, because he would come in all the time as a customer, just like I did years before, going in from the time I was 12 years old and asking if they were hiring. And they said, yeah, maybe what? No, no, I'm sorry. I went in as a customer, and the manager, my future manager, the owner of the store, said, hey, maybe one day you can work here. I was only 12 years old at the time, and I was like, oh, that would be amazing. And so I set that goal for myself, and so I would go in after I hit about 15, asking if they were hiring, and they weren't at the time. And then one day it happened, and they came to me and said, would you like to work here? And so that's exactly what I did with this young man that came in for 2 or 3 years as a customer, and then I offered him the job. But he was extremely shy. He knew his stuff probably better than I did. Knew the products, knew the pets, knew the animals, but he was extremely shy. And so with the help of giving lots of accolades to his mother about him when his mother would come pick him up, because I knew it was going to get back to him, and practicing with him outside of the retail area, go to the back room and just practice, answering questions and that sort of thing. I really helped develop him and really helped him get out of his shell. And he was there when I left. So unfortunately, I've lost contact with him, but I'd really love to know what he was doing. I'm sure it's really great things, that's for sure. Um, when do you want to, what do you want to accomplish in the first 90 days of this job? Well, I mentioned when the question about the first 30 days, and that's building relationships with employees, direct reports, if I'm the manager, and as well as building relationships with your clients. The clients quite possibly might be even a client that has had the same salesperson and dealt with the same salesperson for years or even decades. And if they retired and now you got a new person going in, that's going to take some time. Excuse me. So so that would be what I would do in the beginning of the first 90 days. The rest is set records, and that's accomplish more, have increases, and really set myself apart from everybody else, and set huge records to really stand out, and not have make sure that you don't have that reinforce, I should say, the fact that this is why I was hired. Tell me about your book. Well, I'm glad you asked. This is my book. This is time for the shameless plug. How to get motivated and stay motivated. 123 ways to get motivated and stay motivated. And I wrote it in August 2016, and it hit #1 status in September of 2016, a month later. And it was became #1 in self-esteem and #7 in motivation, and had that badge, that all-inclusive badge on Amazon that said bestseller. And so it wasn't bestseller for very long, only a few short hours, but I was able to grab that screenshot, so I have validation. But it was a journey. I really wanted to write a book on sales, and I was probably 2 or 3 chapters into that book when I realized, geez, I'm talking a lot about motivation. And if any of you listening are in sales, especially outside sales, you got to be motivated, on your game every day, all day. You're lonely driving from store to store, business to business, sometimes for quite a while at a time. You're alone in your own thoughts, thinking about your last customer, thinking about your next customer, maybe not talking to anybody from your company, whether you're a colleague or a boss, for days, maybe even weeks. But you're a brand ambassador. You represent that company, so you better be on your game. So you got to be motivated. So that's what I thought about writing a book on motivation. I thought, well, I'm not, instead of writing a book on sales, let's write a book on motivation. So, but I wanted to make it super, super easy for everybody. Nothing complicated, and something that can be gratifying and instant in many cases. Something as easy as 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's when the light went up above my head. 123 ways to get motivated. As simple as 1, 2, 3. So I wrote the book over about 6-month period of time. It was it was a passion. I loved it. I loved doing it. But I only got to about 100, 110, 10, and I really wanted to get that 123. So I went back to the book and realized, oh, maybe I can split here, make it a little even more easier, both for the reader as well as for myself to write it. So that's why I came up with 123 ways. And excuse me, in Canada, it was a little bit easier than maybe in the States to hit #1 status. So what I did was, I put it on a couple of websites on sale. And so I had, in maybe about a week, maybe less than a week, it was on sale, and just by coincidence, a bunch of people purchased it in a short period of time, in a few hours, and so that's what caused it to go up in rank and hit that number one status, excuse me, or bestseller status, and it was so number one in. I'm pretty sure I'm saying this right. It was number one in self-esteem and number 7 in motivation. But I do have the screenshot. I guess I should have checked before this. Um, and so it has really helped me not only stay motivated and to help others stay motivated, but also to help open doors. And I talked about that story about how I was able to get a job by having the book. And when I called that person back when I didn't get the job, and it was 2 weeks after I had the interview, and said my name, he said, "Oh yeah, the author. Yeah, I remember you right away." So it really helps. And so, so this is sort of what I'm doing right now is sort of the book 2.0. So I'm trying to stand out, excuse me, stand out above the crowd, excuse me, and not choke while I'm talking. So time for another quick sip before the next question. What are my favorite chapters? Well, it's 123 chapters in this book, but a lot of them are half a page and a bit. So it's that's why it's a pretty easy book to read. So I've got 4 chapters here that I've highlighted that are my favorite, and I would like to read them to you. So trust me, it won't be that long. The first one is called, and this is chapter number 4, if you're reading along at home, which I doubt you really are, and if you are really that curious, there are links in the description for my book. If you're interested, it's available on Amazon in both print and on digital on Kindle. So number 4, or chapter number 4, reason number 4, how to get motivated, is reaching up for help. I'm not talking about religion here, but if that's what will help, then I'm 100% for it and recommend it. By reaching up, I mean ask for help from people around you. It's good to reach down and help someone that has fallen or needs a boost. Everyone needs to do that. What I mean is to reach up for help. Excuse me. Finding someone that can mentor you and that can give you some guidance. Excuse me, time for another water. I'm starting to get slightly concerned that I'm not going to be able to go as long as I can because my voice is starting to blow out. So bear with me. I'm going to tone it down just a little bit. I'm sure you can all still hear me, but I want to be able to. I'm in page halfway down page 2. I think I have 4 or 5 pages. So if I keep it up this level, I think I'm definitely going to blow up my voice. So I'm going to go as long as I can. I'll start again on the second paragraph that I just started. Find someone that can mentor you and can give you some guidance that you can look up to. Perhaps you need to look on the internet or a local paper for someone in your community that is more successful than you and introduce yourself to them. Many people will want to help you. Now look for someone who is tremendously successful. You are looking for greatness because you want to be great and not just good. Ask them if you could have a coffee with them or spare 20 or 30 minutes once or twice a month. Make sure you let them do most of the talking and learn from them. Once you reach their success level, then find someone else to be mentored by. Another good example is to join a mastermind group or another group that has a lot of motivated people. Another example might be to go to a meeting for your local chapter of BNI, Business Networkers International, where you'll find many motivated entrepreneurs all working together to help each other out. BNI would only work if you had something to promote, such as your own business. However, it is still a great way to go for one meeting as a guest, and you've got nothing. Even if you have nothing to promote yourself, then promote a friend's small business or one that you would like, or one that you often frequent. So that's reaching up for help. The next chapter is chapter 14 in the book, and that's see the sunshine. Do you want to be motivated or super motivated? Be up before the sun is. I am. I am up even on the weekends. I'm up at 5:30 in the morning, but often earlier. There's nothing more powerful than waking up before the sunshine. This will motivate you, and knowing that you're likely beat most, if not all, of your neighbors, coworkers, and if you're in business, the competition too. You will get more done than they can before they even rub their eyes or have their coffee. Go to bed around 9 or 10 p.m. at the latest. Chances are you only need 6 or 7 hours of sleep. Now after 7 hours of good rest, now it's 4 a.m. Now you'll have be up at have a 4 hour start than the rest of the people in your city. You'll work. You looking for a promotion at work? Start showing up 1 or 2 hours early and watch what happens. Looking to get a hold of that hard to reach client? How about you be waiting for him or her when they arrive at their office for the day? Want to read more books? Want to write a book? Never had time to take an online course? Not enough time in your day for exercising? Try doing some or all of these things just after your new wake up time. It's about getting more done so you can get more accomplished. Get a head start on life in the morning. While everyone is sleeping, you've worked out, showered, had breakfast, written your goals down, and started your day. So, how do you do this? Chances are, if you're awake after 9 p.m., you're just watching the garbage on TV that we've all discussed in the previous chapters about that won't motivate you. Um, you like eating sugary treat or salty snack? Go to bed early and wake up early. It's simple as that. Like anything new, don't give up just because you doing the head nod before lunch. With some practice and perseverance, you will overcome and get more energy as a result. Next chapter that I want to read. So this is the third of the fourth chapter that I want to read. This is chapter 30, and it's called Challenge Yourself Every Day. It's good to feel challenged. It stimulates you. It makes you want to do more, and you end up looking for more challenges. You get more motivated each one you do. You want, rather, challenges in your day. You don't want boring day. You need a doing day. You don't have to stop the things you should stop doing the things that don't challenge you. Do things that make you feel uncomfortable. Go walk in your boss's office today. Ask that person out you've had your eye on. Write that book you've always wanted to do. Start exercising or whatever it is that will challenge you. Start being challenged and get pushed beyond your comfort zone. When you get to work, do the hardest things first. When you have a weekend to-do list, do the most difficult things first. Don't always look for the easy way or the shortcut. Rediscover life by constantly being challenged and stimulated every day. By consistently being challenged both mentally and physically in your day, you will be more stimulated and look for other challenges. You'll want problems to come find you because it brings variety and helps you solve things for yourself and others. By doing easy things first often causes problems, and then you run out of time to do the really important stuff. You then end up moving tasks to the next day. Do that, and you will start with the procrastination process. Don't start procrastination, start action. Look for a problem today. My fourth chapter I want to read to you is chapter 113. And it goes in part with what I've been talking about earlier about my position as an elected school board trustee in my area. And that's volunteer in your community. When you help someone out, it empowers you even to do more. Even something as simple as holding a door open for someone can feel good. Now power it up by volunteering in your community. It is an amazing feeling. You may also choose to become a big brother, big sister, or a mentor to a young person. How about coaching a kid's sports team? Have you ever thought about becoming a local politician? Like me, well, not a politician, but school board trustee, but still elected, local politician, and serving your community as a counselor or other position. Whatever the capacity, lending your time will inspire you and others around you to do more and help others. Set more time aside each month to volunteer and make a difference in your community. Start off small and donate an hour or two once a month and see if you can increase it in a month or two. Perhaps raise money for a charity or help a charity event. Doing any of these things will inspire you to look for other areas you can lend a hand, help, and be inspired. And also, it's a form of networking as well, because you'll be able to network and be able to help in other areas, or if you're looking for a job, or if you're looking for a sponsor for some sort of an event. It's another way of meeting new people and networking. So those are my four favorite chapters in my book, 123 Ways to Get Motivated. Salary. Discuss your salary expectations. Well, this particular question that is often asked in many interviews that I've had in the past is a very difficult one. The reason it's so difficult is because I don't know enough about the actual job. So you might say at a later time, after I've already given you my salary expectation, is that you get a 5% RSP. In the summers, you don't work Fridays. You get a hefty car allowance and or a company car in a corporate card for gas, or some other perk or benefit or something else that or some extra commission structure or whatever it happens to be. So when I give you my expectation, and then I hear more and more and more about the job, especially if this question is asked in the first interview, well, I might think to myself, wow, you're paying a lot for this position, because, I probably would have done it for less. Or, whoa, I didn't think it was so involved. I should have asked for more. So it's sometimes a little bit of an unfair question, but I usually try and respond and say what is most important for me, and it's true, is that that I am a good fit for you, and you are a good fit for me. So that is paramount to my decision-making process. Now, having said that, are you able to share the range that you've budgeted for this role? That's the one way that I answer this question, because, and if I am pressed, I give a usually a $15,000 range. And I've done a little bit of due diligence on the position, checking companies or websites like Glassdoor or Indeed, but it's nothing as as accurate as finding it out directly from the employer. So I tend not to put a lot of stock in that. um, what's the what differentiates you from other candidates? Well, I believe I have a unique skill set and I'm uniquely qualified. I have a wonderful array of skills and experience that makes me uniquely qualified for this position, and would um, make me a leading candidate in my opinion of the position for the position, because of my consumer packaged goods background for so many years, pet experience, hardware experience, Jansan business, the vaping industry, tobacco industry, the and consumer packaged goods in general, or fast moving consumer goods, I think makes me uniquely qualified. And the fact that I have written a Amazon Canada best-selling book, I am an existing school board trustee that makes high level um, types of decisions in the boardroom for approving a $200 million budget, to directing various policies and procedures. And and that's an extremely high level. So I believe when you wrap that all up together and put a bow on it, I believe I am the ideal choice for this position. Are you a morning person? Well, absolutely. I mentioned it before about getting up at 5:30 even on the weekends. I love waking up before the sunshine, and many of the customers in the past that I've gone to, that I've seen, their locations have also been extremely either 24 hours or open very early, stay open very late, so they can always appreciate I'm usually the first often even before deliveries. I'm usually the first salesperson in the store, in the first, even the first few people that I see in the day. So and it's a time to when you're sending out emails and answering emails, if you're answering them at before 6 a.m., they think that this person's very serious about their career and about their job and about my business if they're answering my email at that hour. Approaching the bottom of the second page, and that's how would a good friend describe you? Well, I would say loyal to a fault, and that actually shows my first two companies that I worked for. 10 years followed by 16 years. So, and that's exactly what I want to be on my next and final position, to lead me into the retirement. I would love to be able to stay on board until 65 or 70 years old, and moving up and being challenged every day further into the organization. And so yes, I am loyal to a fault, and I'm also persistent to a fault as well. I am in sales, so I definitely do not take the first or second no as the final answer. In fact, I'll even be as a little bit more persistent and say, how about get me to a maybe, even if you think it's a no, just say maybe. That way, it'll give me a sense of hope that we can turn that maybe into a yes. So. Yeah, I definitely don't take no for the first, second, third, fourth answer. Next question. Are you more of a leader or follower? Well, I think I'm both to some degree because, as I said, I am loyal to a fault. So I will definitely, be led to where a good leader is going to take me, and do what's necessary. But as I mentioned in a few answers, that my final goal is to be the leader and to lead others to greatness and to help lead the next leader or the next set of leaders. Um, do you have a personal mission statement? I sure do. When I first started in outside sales, I would say it was probably in my first year that I came up with this sales model, and it holds true for everything that I've ever sold ever or since then. So it's been many, many years. And that sales motto is, I won't leave you hanging any longer. It isn't sold just because it arrives at the customer's back door. It's sold when it goes out their front door. Now, what does that mean? I like to help with anything that I can to help get that product from the back room to the shelf, to the cash, and out the door. And the more I can do that, the faster I can do that, the more I feel I'm going to be an invaluable part of the team in that with my customer. So, and that's really building that long lasting business relationship with the customer. So I will do anything and everything in the store with the exception of ringing it through the till because I don't do that. And all kidding aside, I really like to help with merchandising. So setting up end caps, planograms, shelf strips, putting up pricing, setting up clip strips, bunk ends, end caps, whatever that might be, to help get the product in the area for the consumer. Then I like to help with pricing, merchandising, with the pricing, more specifically, helping the customer have a really good margin, but also passing along some sale to the end user to get, especially if it's a new product, to get that product moving in the store, so they get continued repeat business and increase those incremental sales, adding value to the purchase, and also showing the customers, not the customers, well, the customer of my customer, the people at the store, adding value and add-on sales, I should say. So if there's, let's suppose I'm selling cat litter, well, make sure that there's one of my cat litter scoops close by for that add-on sale. So the other thing that I would do is educate the staff and do some training. In my previous experience, I don't really like doing sort of a back room or lunchroom kind of training when I'm talking about products, because let's face it, the staff are going to be at in front of the product at the shelf in the store, and they're going to be talking to the end user, the consumer, at the same point where I am talking to them. So they're going to, I think, remember more when you pick up the product from the shelf, you put it in the employee's hand, you talk about it, and then they're going to remember all those points better when they're in the exact same point later in the day or the next day, and the customer comes in and they're going to take the product off the shelf, put it in the customer, the end user's hand, and then they're going to train the end user on that, because they're going to remember the exact same scenario. So I find that's more successful. So I'm going to do all those things to help get that product out there. So that's going to build the relationship stronger with the manager, owner, and staff. So then next week, next month, or whenever it is that I've got a new product here, here's another new product, here's a new color, new size, new whatever, and the customer is going to say, "Hey, Kevin, if you think it's going to work for me, then I'm definitely all in, and I will definitely do that." So um, I think it's going to um, help everybody, essentially. Um, so the oh, great book, great read. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Um, then the next is, after my mission statement, is, what do you like most about yourself? Well, I'm assuming you're meaning business wise, and that would definitely be my relationship building skills and my award winning sales experience. I mentioned before that I've won multiple awards: sales rep of the month, of the quarter, of the year, coming in first place in all of Ontario, coming in first place in all of Canada, coming in second place for all of Canada for a different company. So I've won multiple awards, and I love building those relationships with the customers. But as I mentioned before, what is the best thing that I like about it is when the customer says, "Thank you. Thank you for looking out for my business. Thank you for treating my business like it was your business. And thank you for helping train my staff. That's one less thing I have to worry about." And because I always say it's, for customers, managers, and owners that don't want to train staff, I always tell them it's more expensive to have train that sorry, it's more expensive to have untrained staff than it is the small expense to bring in the staff to train them for those couple of hours, and now they're going to be well trained and be able to work for you even better. Excuse me. um the How long do you expect to work for this company? Well, I want to know if you guys have a mandatory retirement age. If not, then I expect to be carried out because I do love working, and at the very least, until retirement age, 65 or 70, because I'm looking for my next long-term stay. And my first two jobs, like who has a first job as a teenager that lasts 10 years? Me. So, and then my next job was 16 years. So I want to break that record with my next job, and be there long term. How do I keep myself organized? Well, I mentioned a little bit. I read a little bit from my book about doing the hard tasks first, but sometimes even sometimes it's the 2-minute rule as well. So if you get text, emails through the day, maybe somebody left you a voicemail when you're with somebody, if you can get those off your plate, and if they're going to be less than 2 minutes, quick text back, quick email back, quick phone call to answer a question. If you can get those off your plate as soon as they happen, then you'll have less to worry about at the end of the day. And I mentioned, yes, you got to do the more important stuff and the challenging stuff first, but you also got to prioritize. And if it's not terribly important, but it's going to take you 15 or 20 minutes, and then you got six things that's going to be a minute or two each, I would do those first to get them out of the way, and then you can put more focus on the other things. But you got to really learn to prioritize. Okay, we are on to page 3. So we've done the first 2 pages, and now we're on to the next one. Next question. Are you a hunter or a farmer? Well, I consider myself both. If you don't know that particular question, that's either account management or business development. If you would have asked me that question a few years ago, I would have definitely said I was the farmer, and into account management, because the company that I worked for originally, in the pet industry, the world's largest privately owned manufacturer and distributor of pet supplies, they you couldn't open a pet store in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s without having them. But as competition came into the market, I would find myself in stores that were been open for a couple of years and that have never had my products in there, and that have some had even never even heard of some of the brands. So they developed a policy to have us start going into and do new business development and going into accounts at least a couple of times a week. And so we started doing that. And then I really got the appreciation when I started in my last 2 companies within the same industry. And I was going into, in the first company, I was going into an established territory, but I still managed to open 50 to 70 new accounts, and then going into a brand new territory with a brand new company, and opening up accounts. So that was zero account management, and then the previous one to that was sort of a bit of a mix. So I definitely get enjoyment out of both. You're doing that, building that relationship, and developing it over many months and years, and then walking in cold and introducing yourself, introducing your company, introducing your product, and going from there. So I really get an enjoyment out of both. And if I had to pick one, I really don't think I could, because I enjoy doing both. And in an ideal job, I would be doing both, but I'm happy to do either or both with my next employer. What is your favorite memory from childhood? Well, relating from a job perspective, my first job, very first job, was a flyer route. Did that for 3 years, delivering flyers for a company. I think there was 109 or 113 um, um, houses making, get this, a half a penny for each one that I delivered. And I was usually only delivering between 3 and 6 flyers to each house. So even if it was 6 flyers, and I'm delivering to, I'm getting 6 cents, or excuse me, 3 cents for each bundle, or maybe 4 cents at the most. So I was only making $4 or $5 each time I delivered these flyers, and I was doing them twice a week. So I wasn't making a lot of money, but I enjoyed it. It made me get some responsibility, and I started that when I was 12 and did that until I was 15. But then what I really started to like was when I went into the pet industry at age 15, and getting those first few customers thanking me for my a job well done, and good advice that they took to heart. I did get a few eyebrows raised and saying, does your dad own this store? Like, because I was 15, but I probably looked 12 or 13. And so they kind of was questioning my, I had several years of experience under my belt in terms of, keeping pets. So when I was giving them advice, they were kind of questioning this kid that was 15, that looked 12, that giving this adult advice. But when some of them took my advice, and then they would come in the following week or whatever and seek me out to thank me, to say that I was a skeptic. I wasn't sure if the advice that you were giving me was going to work. And I admitted I kind of judged based on your age, and it worked. Well, that's fantastic. And then having those repeat customers, one thing to have a repeat customer as a sales rep going into the same business, week after week, month after month. These were people coming to see me, and my colleagues were available, not doing anything, and they would walk by them and wait for me as I was serving a customer so that I could serve them. So, or they'd phone me and at the store and say, and ask for me by name, and say, "Listen, I got a problem here. Can you help?" And I was always glad to. So um, those people that were able to um, that really in the early stages, and that really inspired me. I want to thank them, because if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't have so quickly fallen in love with sales. Um, what was the best job you ever had? Well, that has to be, without a doubt, one that I could make a positive impact. It wasn't necessarily a specific job, a specific employer, or anything like that, or an industry. It's one that I could make a positive impact, where people would thank me for my product. People would thank me for my advice. People would thank me for the company I was working for, that they were making such a great product. Those are the ones that I truly had a great um, fondness of, and that if I could make that positive impact, and that positive, long lasting impact, that's exactly what I'm looking for from my next role. So I hope the person I'm talking to on the other end is, in fact, the person I can help make a positive impact in their customers' life, experience, or day. What is my greatest fear? Well, I find the word fear, and you may have heard this before, I like to think as an acronym. So, fear, false events appearing real. Fear, being the F, is false. E is for events appearing, A, and real. False events appearing real. So, quite often, if you're going to do something, like, for instance, I was a little bit nervous, I'll be honest, in starting this podcast and starting this particular live stream. But once I had that fear, but it was a false. So once I started, it's false events appearing real. I don't know what I was afraid of, but I guess it was the fear of the unknown. And so now I know whether there's one person or a million people watching the video or watching the live stream, then that it wouldn't bother me. Um, the next one is what was your greatest failure and what will you learn from it? My greatest failure is not applying to this job sooner. So I hope that I'm glad I'm applying to this job right now, and I hope that that was my biggest fear or regret. It was not applying to this company sooner. So I hope that we can eliminate the time and get me on board sooner than later. Um, I've lost my place. Excuse me. If I won a $10 million lottery, would I still work? Yes, I would, but I would volunteer more and do more community work and be able to help change people and have more positive impact on people. Because sometimes it's not just donating money, but it's donating your time, donating your experience, and donating your passion or motivation on a cause. Is I would love to be able to do more of that, especially if I won 10 million. I'm definitely going to need some more water soon, and I foresee having to take a break soon. Um, as they say, Murphy's Law, I'll probably end up having to leave shortly to go use the washroom, but I'll maybe write a note, put it on here to say back in 2 minutes, so that because that'll be the time when 1,000 people decide to come on and go, there's nobody here, and leave. Um, so, how many hours per week do you normally work? Well, whatever it takes. I'm not just a 9 to 5 type. I did tell you in earlier that I do a monthly or sorry, I get up at 5:30 in the morning, and I like to get into some companies and some jobs 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. Even when I worked in the hardware industry and I was going into the big players in the hardware industry, the big box stores, they opened at sometimes 6 or 7 in the morning. I would get there right there early in the morning, and that way that gave me extra time to spend with the employees to do any kind of training as well, and motivating them about my product or educating them about my products. Um, and so I also mentioned about going into trade shows and doing brand ambassador days at businesses that were my customers. So I really like going above and beyond, and and that's certainly not a 9 to 5 type of job. Sales really isn't. And although some companies expected this, and then I had other companies that insisted that I turn off my phone at 5 or 6 o'clock at night. I never did, because I felt if my customer is working at his business and 9 or 10 o'clock at night and thinks about my product and thinks about me and has a question or wants to place an order and is normally expecting to leave a message on my voicemail or expecting me not to respond to the text message, and I do, that just reinforces to them my commitment to them and their business. So I like to help out whenever I can, and so that's why I'm not a typical 9 to 5er. Also, as I mentioned, also being a school board trustee. So sometimes I'm getting into my first customer at 7 in the morning, and I'm done at 5:30, just before 6 o'clock, and then I'm heading over to the school board to have a meeting that will often finish at 9 or 9:30 at night, maybe even later. And then I am fully ready and prepared to be up at 5:30 the next day to do it all over again. Might not have that school board meeting, but I'm ready to start early again. Do you ever take your home? Excuse me. Do you ever take your work home with you? All the time, and I just mentioned a little bit of that. So yes, I do that, and I do like to help with my fellow um, employees, my managers, or my customers. So if they have a question, my fellow colleagues, and they're looking for some sound advice, they can call me after hours, and maybe they've had a busy day, and they just thought of it after dinner as they're unwinding. Oh, I should call Kevin about that, or I want to call Kevin about that. They know that they can. So I like to do that. Excuse me. Um, What three things are most important to you in your job? Well, I would say first and foremost, and I mentioned this before, is that it's a good fit. So as long as you're a good fit for me, I'm a good fit for you. That's the first two right then and there. But I also want a product and a company that I can feel proud to stand beside and to stand behind. And so let's face it, often when I go into a store, or a place of business, and they've seen me before, excuse me, they don't even know or may have forgotten my name, but they know the product or the company that I represent. So they might say, oh, ABC company is here, or they'll, call behind them to whoever I'm supposed to be dealing with. ABC company is here, or Mr. ABC's here. And so that makes me even more proud than if they even remembered my name, because they remembered the company that I represent and the company that I'm there to representing. And so I mentioned before just a moment ago, standing beside and standing behind. So I want a product and a company that will stand behind me and that I can stand behind, but also one, excuse me, that is, in theory, standing beside me as I'm talking to the customer. Because, as I said before, probably an hour ago, that I want a company that I'm able to well represent, and that I might not see somebody else from the company or talk to somebody else from the company for days or possibly even weeks. Maybe not weeks, but a week or two, anyways. And so, you've got to be very motivated and be able to stand behind that company every day, all day, and in between sales calls, so that you can be proud of them, and because they're going to be proud of you because of each and every day that you pull in stuff. Um, Next question: what is one negative thing your last boss said about you? Maybe because I care too much, and that I try and be too much to too many people. So, I try and be the accounts receivable, and I put their hat on. I'm trying to be the salesperson and put my hat on. I try and be the um, the accounting department or marketing department or whatever department it is, and I try and give advice, and I try and help maybe in too many areas sometimes, because I'm just trying to give as much full service to my customers as possible. So being a little bit too much to too many people, maybe that would be one particular answer. Mhm. What will I miss about my previous jobs or previous companies? um, the customers and the team. A lot of the companies that I worked for had a really great team environment and team building events, and not even really team building events, but just even a sales meeting can be a team building event if we all get along and we all really love the company and the product and everything else. And I would say also the customers as well. I miss a lot of customers that I used to deal with every day, and a lot of my customers currently, I would still consider friends or friendly with. Many are on different social medias that I still follow. Follow them on Instagram or Facebook, so that I can because even though I'm not their rep anymore or not they're not my customer anymore, I'm still rooting for them just as much as I was when I was selling them something. What is my management style? I say my management style, not even my sales style. It's more of a consultant and also as a mentor. And I love mentoring. I've mentioned this many times before, that I love mentoring and helping the next generation and motivating the next generation to help them in their goals and in their sales process. Um, I am going to take a very short break while I because I can hear my phone is literally just exploding right now. But I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing pending or somebody, heaven forbid, saying, I thought you were supposed to start your live stream. I don't see you. So I want to make sure that I'm on. So I am. So um, and so the next one is, who has impacted you the most in your career? I would say it was mostly early on in my career and my outside sales experience. And there are three people, and I'm going to say them and say their first names anyways. And I think one of them for sure is I know is on my LinkedIn, but that is Ron, Bill, and Dave. Dave was my first manager, sales manager. He was a definite type A personality, but he was wickedly smart and good at what he did. And I didn't really appreciate him as much as I did until he left. You miss things more when they go away, and absence makes the heart grow fonder. I think I said that before. And then Ron, who he started like myself in a sales position, moved up a couple of ranks before going into sales management, and his knowledge of the industry and his knowledge of um, of the products and the um, not business development, relationship building was spot on. Was amazing. And then last but certainly not least, he is long since retired from the industry, and that's Bill. And he was never a manager, but he was always a mentor from day one when I met him, and wickedly smart in the industry. He had been in sales for probably 25 years before I even met him, maybe even longer. He was definitely 25 years at the company that I was working for, and in sales even longer. Excuse me. So he had a very old school salesperson. I wish there was still a lot of people out there like this, but a lot of people think old school sales, oh, that's maybe unethical, but he had ethics coming out the wazoo, and he had charisma and just everything I wanted to be when I was 26-year-old salesperson, and he'd been doing sales longer than I'd been alive. So I very much looked up to him. Um, I think I'm going to try and finish this page, and no, I think maybe I can go through. Maybe I can go through without having a break. Um, so that was who's impacted my career the most. Next question. What is a book that everyone needs to read and why? Well, you probably saw that one coming. It has to be how to get motivated and how to stay motivated. Now, yeah, there's some books that you might even see them behind there. I'm not even sure if they're behind there. Simon Sinek, Ask the Why. Another one by the guy from Shark Tank. I think his name's Damon John, and it was about waking up before 5 a.m., seeing the sunrise, and talking to various influencers and celebrities about their morning habits and rituals. So those are two books that I thoroughly enjoyed, and definitely will be reading them again soon. But yeah, my book, 123 Ways to Get Motivated and Stay Motivated. I definitely recommend that. Links in the description, and definitely be interesting to see after today if I have a little bump in sales. And please don't please like and subscribe this and come back again to tomorrow to see a recap. I do intend to making this it won't be no 2 or 3 hours long either. It'll be more of the 7 minute, under 7 minutes, like I want it to be. And I hope to do it every day, but things happen. But that's my intention to do it at least a few times a week. And so next question. Do you prefer working alone or in a team environment? Well, both. I like doing I represent the company, brand ambassador day, working by myself, talking with customers, end users, consumers, driving from business to business. And I love doing that. But I also love the camaraderie and helping fellow employees, helping managers, helping and working alongside people, working on a certain project, or working with other salespeople in my team, in my company, or anybody else I can help. Comes down to that networking and that sort of thing. So I definitely like both aspects of working alone. But really, when you're in sales, yes, you're alone, but really only in the car from point A to point B. You're interacting with other humans and your customers and end users throughout the day. So really, you're not working alone. Maybe during off hours, if I'm looking at stats or doing a promotion, typing up a promotion, helping different aspects of my business that way, then sure, yeah, I'm working alone. But my day-to-day stuff, I am working alongside my customers. Next question. Do you find it difficult to adapt to new situations? Not at all. I adapt well, and I've sold in multiple industries, and industries that it was going from the pet store that I worked at and going into the pet industry. I knew a lot of the products, and it was very comfortable for me, so there wasn't a large learning curve. But going into the Jansan business, or going from there into the vaping industry, rather large learning curve. But with all my new companies that I started with, those learning curves, I was able to straighten out pretty quickly and enjoy doing it. So I'm a quick learner, and I love learning new things. And when I learn new things, I get passion to want to teach those new things to other people. And so that's why I think I'm such a great person to do brand ambassador days with, and to help train staff and do lunch and learns. I like it all. Um, this is a question. Explain why you've had so many jobs. Well, yes, I had a few jobs, but which have given me a unique skill set to only help you better. But when you look at the first two jobs, my first two jobs that I have ever had in sales have been over 25 years total combined. So, in the grand scheme of things, when you look at 30 plus years of selling and having 5 or 6 jobs, that really is probably the average for many salespeople. And when companies go out of business or go in a different direction, or you're just looking for a new challenge because it really wasn't a great fit for you, well, then that explains quite a bit. Next question. What do you do in your spare time? Well, I mentioned previous that I'm a school board trustee, and that has helped develop me in my sales as well. Because previous to being a school board trustee, I didn't really do a lot of speeches. I didn't really do, especially with this pandemic, doing a lot of Zoom meetings on the at the school board. So it got me very comfortable doing camera work and Zoom meetings and Google Meets and that sort of thing, and remembering to talk directly into the camera as opposed to looking down at whoever's in the room. I do that occasionally, but I feel if I'm looking directly at the camera, I'm looking directly at you and directly in your eyes. So I um, I feel that's given me a unique experiences, and overall, I think having such a unique skill set has given me a unique set of skills to be able to help you in your business moving forward. What am I passionate about? Well, I'm passionate about helping people. I'm passionate about sales. I'm passionate about educating about my product and education, the education system, as I'm a school board trustee. So, and again, I think being a school board trustee has helped me more in sales and being able to talk to people. Excuse me, a larger, diverse people from diverse backgrounds. So when my phone rings, I don't know if I'm going to be helping a customer. I'm going to be helping a parent that's looking for help through the school board. So it all comes down to helping. How do I become a? How do you become a trustee? Well, in the province of Ontario, there is a municipal election. That's when you vote in for the mayor, regional councillors, and school board trustees. And so in Ontario, the next municipal election is October the 24th, and you in the last one, which was October 2018. So I had to put my name in as a school board trustee to run, and that was in I think around the month of July or June. And then you had about 5 or 6 weeks to put your name forward if you wanted to run as the mayor or a regional councillor, or in this case trustee. And then there was a cutoff time, and if nobody put their name in, I became acclaimed. So I was acclaimed. I'm having trouble remembering this. I think it was the end of July, early August. The actual election took place in October. If there was somebody that was wanting to run against, in my area, it was two of us running in this one area. So if there was three people running, they would have taken the top two people in the in that election, and whoever the top two people were the ones that became trustee. And if there was only one person running, well, then they would actually try and hire somebody, like as though it was a job posting after the fact. But I really enjoyed the process. You had to pay $100, I believe it was, to put your name in at the city clerk. And then once you submitted all your expenses, in my case, it was extremely easy because I didn't have to run an election, so I didn't have to take in any donations or anything like that. And donations for a municipal election are not tax exempt, so you had to always explain that if that was the case. If you were running against anybody and you were taking in donations, then you had to do that. And so yeah, I learned a lot running in the election and becoming acclaimed. And is it a paid role? Well, yes, it is. Everybody in Ontario is paid the exact same amount in the form of an honorarium, and that's $5,900 a year, and that is paid to you. And then everybody is paid a what's called an enrollment fee, and it's based on the number of students in your board divided by the number of trustees in your board. So something like the Toronto District School Board that has 20 plus trustees and have hundreds of thousands of students, you're going to get considerably more. I think it's about 200,000 students. If I'm not, somebody that knows can correct me in the comments. But I believe it's 200,000 students in the Toronto District School Board, and I think it's $1.75 or $1.85 per student as an enrollment fee, and then that's divided by the number of trustees. So in our board, it's $1.85. Let's say it's $1.85. I don't know if it's $1.75 or $1.85, but let's say it's $1.85. You multiply that by the roughly 15,000 students. That gives you the enrollment, and then it gets divided by the number of trustees, in my case, 7. So on top of the $5,900 that all the trustees in Ontario get, in my board, you would get an additional $3,500. And then the chairperson of the board gets an additional fee, and the vice chair of the board gets an additional fee as well. I was acclaimed in this past December as vice chair of the board. So I would get that additional amount. But the vice chair and chair are voted in within the board annually at the annual board meeting in December, and then the actual trustees are voted in their jurisdiction every 4 years. So the next one, and I intend on running, is October the 24th. So June or July, I will have to put my name forward at the county clerk. Is it a high-level position? Absolutely, it is. As I mentioned, myself as an individual trustee has no power whatsoever. But as a group, when we get together in the board meeting, in the boardroom, I should say, and we vote on policies and procedures and budgets and everything else, as well as the very important role of hiring the director of education for that particular board. They usually have a term of 3, 4, or 5 years. Usually 4, and sometimes it's expanded into 5. But I've had that distinct honor of doing that, so I don't take that very lightly. So as I mentioned, as an individual, we have almost no power, but no power at all. Not almost no. We do have no power, but as a group, we do have quite a bit. What made me want to do that? Well, it was a sense of giving back to the community and giving back to the students. My 2 children are currently enrolled in this school board. And so I wanted to be able to not only give back to them, but the other 15,000 students that are in the school board as well. So that gives me a sense of satisfaction. Does it take up a lot of my time? It does to a certain extent, but it's all evening work and work that's it's work in the evening for the most part. There is a couple of meetings that we have, and in the past, if I have done them, I've always scheduled a vacation day or 2. The regular meetings, just like going to school, there's nothing in the summer, but September through June, we have there's a monthly board meeting and then monthly committee meetings. And because I'm vice chair, there's an additional meeting or 2 additional meetings that I have to attend. But all these meetings are generally after 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the evening. There are One or two of the meetings are between 4 and 5 o'clock. But I expect I hope to have some flexibility from you, my future employer, and or any other employer, because I'm able to be flexible with my schedule and be able to either start early, stay late on multiple days to make up for the possible hour or so that it might interfere once or twice a month. On to the next page. And this is I believe this is my last page of questions. And as we start, if you suddenly gain the ability to time travel, what's the first thing I do? Well, I go see myself to tell myself to apply to this job earlier. That would be the first thing I would do. Um, have you consistently met your sales goals? Yes. My first sales job, outside sales job that I had for 16 years, I consistently met my sales goals 12 out of 16 years. So I really enjoy what I do, and it comes across with the awards that I've won for sales rep of the year and so forth, as well as the consistent increases that I have. But as I said, the most important, or the one that I feel the best about, is when the customer says thank you. Thank you for great service. Thank you for caring so much about my company and about my business. Um, how did I land my most successful sale? Persistence. Similar to what I talked about on getting one of those sales roles, that I was calling the manager after the fact and telling them how much I love the company and the people that I've talked to and the product and their mission. And a few weeks later, I was working for him, even though I got declined in the initial job interview. So it was persistence. And so I have that same mentality when I certainly do not take the first or second or third no for an answer when talking to a customer. And they generally know that I have their best interest at heart, and I take their 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 service and their being a customer of mine very seriously. And so I think with my persistence is definitely pays off in the long run. Um, why am I interested in this particular position? Because I know this particular position will leave a positive impact in not only with the customer, but more importantly with the end user, the people that use your product. And by having a positive impact, and not only a positive impact, but a positive, long lasting impact, that is what makes me excited and makes me really happy, and being able to drive the business forward, getting those thank yous from customers about how much I've helped them. That's what's really helped me, or well, that's what is I can help you. Um, what makes me a unique candidate? Well, I'm uniquely qualified for this position, and I have a substantial skill set and a varied skill set. I can take another sip of water. Excuse me. A substantial skill set. So, please go on my LinkedIn profile. Take a look at my past experiences. Take a look at my past accomplishments. You'll see that I have a very unique skill set. We talked about the my book that I wrote. We talked about all the different positions that I've held, all the different people that I've helped, all the awards that I've won. I think when you wrap it all up and put a nice big bow on it, it is perfect for what you are looking for. Um, what is my biggest weakness? Sometimes I care too much and take things a little bit too much to heart, when they say no for that first time. And I'm pretty persistent that I want to, because I generally know and I want to help the customer, and I know that my product is going to help the customer. So I want them to see my perspective, that I can really help them and generally help their business and help their customers, help their businesses and the end user as well, depending on what the industry is and what the job happens to be. Um, and I would say trying to help um, too many people too many ways, and trying to put, like, as my mother might say, you're trying to put too many hats on and trying to help too many people. And so I've got the accounts receivable hat, I've got the sales hat, I've got the sales management hat, I've got uh, the accounting hat, product development, marketing, whatever it happens to be. So sometimes I just have to take a deep breath and let others, in the fold and help. Um, what are my biggest strengths? Well, I would say relationship building and mentoring, and helping the next generation of either salespeople or leading the new leaders. But I really like helping and building long lasting relationships with both colleagues, managers, and especially with customers, and helping them along the way. And that's something that I've always done, and I will continue to always do. If I can't help customers, then I certainly don't want to be in sales. Um, how did I learn about this role? Well, I found out on a job board, and the second I found out, I applied immediately. And as I mentioned, I wish I could have gone back in time and told myself to apply even earlier, even before you knew you needed me. So I think um, that when I because your reputation is huge, and so I knew about you, but I still looked even further and deeper. I did a deep dive into your website and your social media. I already followed you on some of the social media, so I knew intimately about what everything about your company. So and then I just wanted to learn even more, and so I can't wait to see what happens next, and be part of that entire process. Um, what are your long-term career goals? To be sitting right in that seat there. I want to be able to mentor and help the next generation, and being able to help the next sales rep that might still be in high school right now, and then in a few years get their first real sales job here, and being able to mentor and help them so that they could be one day the next leader in this company. And I really enjoy helping and teaching and educating the new people on board, and doing, whether it's ride-alongs or whatever it happens to be, helping the next generation excel. That's the word I was looking for. Um, what has been your greatest professional achievement to date? So not including landing this role? Okay, just to be clear. So I would have to say, when um, getting those accolades from different customers when they thank me. So, I've received all kinds of awards: sales rep of the year, the quarter, the month, having being a sales mentor, having different awards and different commissions and bonuses for hitting different plateaus. All those are great. Having the manager do the pat on the back, that's fantastic as well. But nothing, and I mean nothing, is more important to me than the customer, and having them say, "Thank you, Kevin, for helping me. Thank you for your great product. Thank you for training my staff. Thank you for treating my business like your business." I get no better satisfaction than hearing that. You know, I almost shedded a tear. That's how much I care about my customer and care about the business that I'm in. Um, Why do you want this job? Well, I think it's been clear now over the last 2 hours and 40 minutes that I've been talking that I am the right person for this job. I think I've answered every question the way that I think you are looking for your next sales or sales management person. And I think that I can make a true difference, like you have been making a true difference in the industry for many, many years. I think by adding me, we can make even a bigger difference and a bigger impact together. How would your colleagues, past colleagues, describe you? I would say steadfast with sought after advice. I have been always been a advocate and someone that can really truly likes to help my fellow colleague with any kind of a problem, whether it's product knowledge, procedure, sales knowledge, sales experience, anything I can do to help better them and better the business and better the industry. I'm all for. So I genuinely really care and help, and I really want to help the next generation and help the fellow employees that I'm working alongside, or if it's another fellow manager, or if it's my manager above me or a manager below me, that is my direct report. Whatever it happens to be, I will definitely be the one to help. Um, Please describe your dream job for us. Well, you wrote the job description, and that's why I applied. So that's going to be my dream job, is working for you. I really honestly think that this is the job for me, and I honestly think that I can help and make a positive impact. And I really think that I'm going to be the one to be that person to help. Um, which working environment is best for you? Well, I like a variety with lots of challenges, and um, I want to be able to, as I mentioned, to help with the the next generation and be able to help make a positive impact in the future, and making a difference is what I really want to do. Um, and so whether it doesn't matter what your product is or service, I would prefer a product, but hit me up if it's a service as well. I would be definitely be interested in that, in hearing about it. But a product that I can demonstrate and do consumer trade shows and industry trade shows, brand ambassador days, and get really excited and talk to customers about, and making sure that has an impact, a positive impact on whether it's on the environment, on the industry, on the consumer. Anytime that it has that kind of an impact, that just gets me really excited. Um, what do you do outside of work? Well, I volunteer at my church. I'm the chairperson of the finance committee. I volunteer for different organizations and different charities when I can, and I also am, as I mentioned, a school board trustee. So I definitely like to help in every aspect of that. Um, what attracted me to the world of sales? That is such a great question. So, as I mentioned, I delivered flyers for 3 years, and I really little did I interact with anybody other than at the door when I would walk in and not walk in, but I'd walk up to the door, and after opening the door, here's your flyer, that sort of thing, and how are you? But it was at the pet store where I really developed a love of sales and helping people. And the helping people was more so when I was in the area where the pets were. But after a while, I got a bit of a I guess a promotion, and I moved into the dry goods section. And the dry goods section was when I really expanded my knowledge and my experience with sales. I was able to go from selling a $5 or $10 goldfish, and maybe some small accessory or water conditioner or something with them. But then going into the sales of the big package deals and this sort of thing, with the that are thousands of dollars, like furniture setups with 100-gallon aquariums with all the accessories and that sort of thing, and doing added value and added selling. I absolutely loved it. So that was something that I really got a kick out of. So, excuse me, that's something that I absolutely love to do. So that's really got the sort of the sales bug. So yes, I was doing some sales in the first 7 or 8 years, selling the animals and some accessories. But when I could really get my feet wet into the sales game of selling the big packages and that were thousands of dollars, and ringing that sale in and hearing the ka-ching on the till, I love that. And so I remember my future boss asked me in the interview when I was going from retail sales into outside sales, and explaining just how much I love that ka-ching sound on the till. He said, "You're not going to hear that. How are you going to get motivated to make a sale at with our company?" I thought for a moment. I said, "Well, listen, with my expert knowledge and my brand ambassador days and training the staff and merchandising and putting up signs and everything it is about getting the product in and successful in a retail store, going back to that sales motto of mine, that it isn't sold just because it arrives at the back door, it's sold when it goes out the customer's front door. Doing that is what gets the product out the door, um, and gets me excited, and then I'll be able to hear that customer's cash register ringing because it's my products going through that register. That's just as satisfying, but also his thank yous as well, or her thank yous about a job well done on training the staff and that sort of thing. Um, what do you think matters the most to your customers? Well, it's that I care. I care so deeply to make sure that they succeed, that it comes across in my sales pitch. It comes across in my talking with them and getting excited about whatever product I'm talking to them about, or training them about, or talking to them about anything. And so that's what gets me the most excited. And um, and that level of care comes across uh, like no other. And so they really know that I care. And also, I mentioned before, when they call, whatever time of day it is, you got a store. Some of these store managers, for instance, let's say in the convenience store channel and gas stations, they're open 24 hours or almost 24 hours, and they come in. Often the owner will come in at 6 o'clock in the morning to do the morning rush. They'll do it for until 10 o'clock or later. Then they go home for a few hours and they come back at 3 or 4 o'clock and they'll work the rest of the evening. And they're working long, long hours. So, in that time, if they have a moment to actually think about me or think about my product, well, that just makes it. I get the warm and fuzzies thinking about that. But so if they have that moment and they're thinking about me at that moment, whether it's 8 o'clock at night or 7 in the morning, and they phone me, you darn right, I'm going to be answering them. And whether it's on the phone or text them or email them back, um, and quite often, especially when it's outside of regular hours, they're going to be very surprised, and they're going to say, "Wow, that's impressive, Kevin. Thank you so much for caring enough about my business to take my order, answer my question, send me that bit of information that I lost or that I'm looking for." So that really makes me happy to do that kind of stuff. We're in the home stretch, so I think we've only got a few more questions. I was hoping to see um, some more questions in the chat. During the live stream, it's been one, two, three people coming on and off, and I know you got busy days and that, but I really hope that people are going to circle back and watch this video. But more to follow in a few minutes. Um, so what motivates you? Well, I think I've talked a lot about this, and I think with the with my book. And take another sip of water. In the past month or so, sorry, the past couple of years, and during the pandemic, doing a lot of videos and meetings. I'm doing most of the listening, and if it's an interview, I am doing most of the talking, but it generally lasts no more than an hour. So I'm approaching 3 times that amount. I've had just starting on my third big glass of water, so it's definitely an experience, that's for sure. So um, what motivates me? So it's that this is why I wrote this book, because I love motivating people. What motivates me is motivating people, and having a positive, long-lasting impact, whether it's with sales or in my work as an elected school board trustee. I absolutely love volunteering my time and having a positive impact. Being an elected school board trustee, yes, it's a community service. I do get an honorarium for it, but I'm certainly not doing it for the money. I get a lot of satisfaction from that and helping people. I also like helping my fellow employees, my direct reports, my customers, and the end users. Because let's face it, that's why we're all here in sales, is to help our customers and help the end user. And if I can have that positive, long lasting impact on a customer, they're going to keep coming back and building that relationship and being able to help them. Who is my sales idol? I'm going to take that as somebody I know, as opposed to like Grant Cardone or any of those other sales gurus. I'm going to say his first name only. His name is Bill. He was my first sales idol or mentor. Never became my manager, but I listened as intently to him as my managers. And any time that he wanted to speak about sales, he was in sales for before I was born. And he was with the company that I started with in 1997. He was there for probably 25 to 30 years before I even started. And so he was a old school sales guy, but not the one that might first come to mind, where you might think of, some sleazy sales guy, car salesman from 30 years ago that has had outdated tactics and wasn't very on the up and up. This guy was on the up and up, and the amount of relationship building that he had, he could sell anything to anybody, and with a smile on his face, and you were smiling getting the sale. So he's in his twilight years now. Been retired for many years. Wish him nothing but the best. I don't know if he'll ever see this. He is on LinkedIn, but I don't imagine he'll be watching 2 hours and 55 minutes of a video to wait to hear his name. So yeah, he taught me a lot to listen to people, and to really care about them, and to listen to the underlying message when they're talking, for listening for buying cues and that sort of thing. So he is definitely my sales idol. Where do I see myself in 5 years or 10 years or whatever it happens to be, or next year? I would love to be sitting in that seat that you're sitting in right there. I see myself moving up within the organization at least once, if not multiple times. And I hope to be able to help the next generation of people, and of salespeople, and help them in their next role, and whether it's my role, and then as I move up within an organization, I like to help make an impact on their lives, because I know it'll make an impact on the next generation. Leaders build leaders, and that's exactly what I want to be able to do. Um, so I was really hoping at this point that I would see some more questions in my in the chat feed, in the live feed of the YouTube video. But I am also seeing, I don't want to get too distracted, but I'm also seeing some messages that are on both LinkedIn as well as YouTube that has popped up. So I'm hoping for good things. I invite you. This is the end of the video. I think I did mention that I submitted this video link, as well as all the necessary paperwork, to the Guinness Book of World Records. And it might take 12 to 16 weeks to find out even if they accepted the topic, let alone the actual record. But I will certainly keep you posted. I invite you to please like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and that way you'll be notified when I do a follow-up, which hopefully will be next tomorrow. Excuse me. Um, and I will definitely keep you posted on what happens next. Um, and I mentioned that make sure that you like and subscribe. And I'm very new to this YouTube thing, so I was reminded by my son to make sure that I say to hit the bell notification, so you're notified of every time that I do upload a video. And rest assured, this is the 7 by Kevin, the 7-minute daily podcast. And the next video will not be 3 hours long. I assure you, this is the only one. And I was hoping that it was going to help promote the channel as well. But ultimately, I want that's just a hobby. Ultimately, I want to find a new job and be able to help the next generation of salespeople, help my next future employer move up to the next level and get sales a salesperson or a sales manager that is, has wrote the book on motivation and has a multitude of awards, but the biggest awards are the thank yous that I've received from my customers. So I hope in the coming tomorrow I'll be reporting on some good news. But in the meantime, I really appreciate you taking any time to watch my video, and I certainly hope if you've only watched a portion of it that you circle back and you watch more of it, you subscribe, and you like the video. Maybe put a comment on that you think, has anybody else ever done this in terms of that of trying to find some work. So I've got some new podcasts in my mind coming up, such as the follow-up to this video, and to another one that I'm working on is why recruiters and hiring managers do what they do. And there's some other ones that I've got in the pipeline that I've got for an idea. So thank you so much for watching this to the end. And I wish you nothing but success, and you will have success if you hire me. And again, thank you again. And we will see you the next time. And that's tomorrow.